You're listening to a Rev FM production podcast. Welcome to Pastors Live, the show that discusses things of the Bible and current events for people who love to laugh. And now, the hosts who answer questions with more questions. It's Pastors Dave, Ty, Shane, and the other guy.
Well, hey, everybody. Good morning to you. It is Monday, September 9th. Man, I'm telling you, this year has all but just flown by. Almost non-existent.
I hate to even think about it.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you're going to look back on 2024 and say, did we have one?
Exactly. I don't know where it went.
It's crazy. Like, we just finished celebrating Christmas 2023.
Yeah.
And here we're coming up real quick.
The spring, that spring season we had, that one, like, it seemed like we were in.
Yeah.
You know, that time was kind of going, and then I woke up and it was September. Like, summer was non-existent to me. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's been so busy.
Yeah, wake me up when September ends.
Yeah, right? Oh, man. Try to remember that time in September. I know you guys are too young for that, but the old people that tune in are going, yeah, Dave, there you go. That was a great song. It was great. Hey, you're tuned into Pastors Live, obviously, and today we're on a skeleton crew, and I think we're going to be on a skeleton crew for the next couple of days as people are recovering from some conferences and trips and all kinds of events, which is really cool. But today, you're stuck with the Three Musketeers.
Woohoo!
Under glass is my very good friend, our producer, engineer, and prayer warrior, Mr. Gary Austin.
Hey, Pastor buddies.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Did you guys have a good weekend?
It was good.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah,
love it.
church was
love
good.
It. Love it.
Love it.
To my left, Pastor Shane McCurry.
Hello.
Shane,
Great.
how you doing, man?
I am
Hi, Shane.
blessed to be here.
Right.
Good to see you guys.
Now, you have stepped aside from youth ministry. You still get to meet with the guys and oversee it on a kind of a spiritual level. But your main focus these days around Water Springs is?
I am now focusing on assistant pastoring and missions and outreach. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting season, a necessary one, I think. The Lord's just been showing me over and over again that this is kind of the direction that he wants me to go. Starting a new family, which means I don't have as much time. Our due date right now is in January of 2025, so that's exciting. So one of the hats had to go, right? One of the hats had to go, and we've got some great guys around here that want to step up and to start walking down the path of, full-time ministry. And so it's kind of cool to see what the Lord's doing. I got a lot of ideas and goals, and then also want to learn and grow. And so there's some conferences I'm looking at and some organizations I'm actually reaching out to saying, hey, can we Zoom call and, start having some ideas and stuff, because now I have time to do that. So it's been a blessing, man, for sure.
Cool. So one of the things that you get to oversee as part of that ministry of missions and outreach is operate. By the way, I'm Dave Coleman. I'm an assisting pastor and family pastor. Hi, guys. Hi, Dave. What is it? Bye, Dave. Hope you find your dad.
Hope you find your dad.
I will when I get to heaven. I'll find him somewhere in a sea of faces, right? But one of the things that you get to do, and Tiffany mentioned it last week when we were talking about Light the Night coming up, is Operation Christmas Child, which is the outreach, the shoebox outreach of Samaritan's Purse and Franklin Graham. And can you guys believe, by the way, it's been a year since Will Graham was here?
Yeah, that's wild, man.
That is nuts.
Absolutely wild.
Wow, kazowie. But you work very closely with Operation Christmas Child and Franklin Graham and the shoebox ministry. So you're actually firing that up already, yeah?
Yeah, before I left, I went out into storage and got all my paperwork filled out for just the Operation Christmas Child season. We've got our We ordered our shoe boxes that we're going to hand out. And so it's really kicking up. And so now that I'm back from my going out of town trip, I'm going to be meeting with a couple various partners here at Water Springs Church. In fact, American Heritage Girls and Trail Life are going to be meeting because they want to get involved because they do kind of, I don't know if it's a challenge or they verse one another or whatever, but they do a fun activity with the boxes for the kiddos of their ministries. Cool. So looking to get them plugged in. We also have some other families that want to help run the booth and the kiosk this year, which is great. And so, this year our goal is 1,500 again. Last year we got to over 1,200. So I think we're going to do it this year. Yeah. Every year we're getting a couple boxes closer to 1,500. And so if you want more information on Operation Christmas Child, you can contact me, Shane, at watersprings.net. That's Shane at watersprings.net. I can get you the how to pack a shoebox materials. And here in, I think, what day is it? Today is Monday, right? Yeah, it's Monday. So I think in about a week and a half, we'll actually have the booth up in the lobby. And so you could come to Water Springs Church in the lobby and come see me and get you some tools, get you a shoebox to pick up and fill. And man, it's going to be a blessing, man. I think we're going to do it this year, 1,500.
So on the outside chance that there's somebody who does not know, has never heard of the Samaritan's Purse Operation Christmas Child shoebox outreach, and I'm pretty proud of myself for saying that in one breath.
That was great.
What is the shoebox outreach?
So Operation Christmas Child is a ministry under Samaritan's Purse, which is partnered with, the Billy Graham Association. Right. It's in the family, right? Franklin Graham's ministry. And what Operation Christmas Child is where you pack a shoebox with goodies, not edible goodies, but school supplies, socks, toys, things that a child of from anywhere from 5 to 11 or 12 would enjoy, right? And you get to pick what kind of box you want, whether you want a boy, a girl, or just anybody who wants to have this. You can put those items in that box, and what you do is you bring them to your local pickup center or ship-off center, and they will ship them around the world to kids for Christmas, so that everybody gets to have a nice Christmas around the world. Now it gets even better because it's not just filling a shoebox and sending it out. It is that, but what the Samaritan's Purse and the Operation Christmas Child team does is after they receive those shoe boxes, when they're taking them around the world, they have teams that show up and preach the gospel to these villages and places that are receiving the shoe boxes. So you're not just sending a shoe box, you're sending the gospel with the box. And there are many countless testimonies of people who have had their lives changed.
We've met them here in the studio.
We've met some of them.
Right.
And these shoe boxes and the gospel really is what changes the life of the individual. They are released from religious bondage or hopelessness, or just living life with no purpose. They find purpose, or rather purpose finds them. And Operation Christmas Child is a great ministry. It's a great way to make disciples. It's a great way to get the gospel spread across the nation and the globe. And you're not just doing humanitarian work. You're doing both. You're loving people practically and spiritually. So I love it. It's been awesome to see our church get involved more and more with it. It's been awesome to see young families that have no clue what OCC is.
Right.
come to the table and go, what's this? And then decide to make that a part of their, yearly tradition. Hey, it's Operation Christmas Child time. This is our second year or third year. I love that. And then you also get the lifelongers who are like, this is our 30th time doing this or whatever. Yeah. So, it's going to be great. That's again happening here at Water Springs. If you're a part of Water Springs Church, you can pick up a shoebox, fill it, and return it to us before the National Ship-Off Week, which is the third week in November. I think it's the 18th to the 25th. I know it starts the 18th. But it's the 24th or the 25th is the last day. Can't remember off the top of my head. But come drop those shoe boxes off and let's help spread the gospel.
I love that, Shane, because not only will that child somewhere in the world, South America, Asia, Africa, Europe, wherever it might be, not only will that child get a shoebox that has been packed in love, by somebody here, but Samaritan's Purse, they put those gospel. I hate to use the word comic because comic sounds like it's funny, but it's like a kid's comic book,
like a cartoon book,
but it presents the gospel.
Yeah.
And not only that, Samaritan's Purse will stay in those villages over the next 12 weeks and have a discipleship program for those children and their families.
Their families.
That's the thing that excites us, right? That every shoebox doesn't just affect one child. They actually have studies that they've paid for and done really good studies to show that every shoebox actually touches up to 10 lives.
Yeah.
And so you've got a kid that gets a shoebox, his siblings, his mommy and daddy, or his grandparents, if you're in a place where they have grandparents. And many places around the world, their life expectancy isn't that long, and they don't have grandparents. But in any case, those shoeboxes reach families and neighborhoods and villages, and then Samaritan's Purse stays and offers a 12-week discipleship program. And so not only do those children hear the gospel and receive Christ, they are discipled and then get plugged in to a local assembly of believers.
Right.
I mean, it is the missions model.
Right, absolutely. And so that's why we support it here at Water Springs. And, for missions, it's really been a cool season this last couple of 6-ish months. We have had several opportunities to just go out and send people out. We got Mackenzie McIsaac, who went out all summer long through SIM. She was in Zambia, and she's currently finishing up her education degree so she can go back to Africa and teach students both education and spiritual education too, spreading the gospel and getting kids plugged into a local church. We have Brad and Haley Dick, our missionaries to the Philippines right now, who are doing DM Squared, Disciples Making Disciples, and having a massive impact in the Philippines area. Partnering with Jim and Keitha, who we also love to support and talk about here, who are lifelong missionaries. And we have some other kids who are interested as well in going out with YWAM. There's just more and more that's starting to happen, which is a blessing, because sometimes it seems like you might have a blockade or a stoppage or whatever that's like, hey, we're just kind of doing our own thing here, which is great, right? But I love it when we're doing our own thing and sending people out as well, because that's a healthy church, is when cells are multiplying and creating healthy environments with the gospel. That's important, man. Right. That's what we're called to do, is to make disciples. And so whether that's in your neighborhood, your community, across the globe, wherever that is, however it is, just go make disciples. That's what we're called to do. So
I love that. Yeah, a good friend of ours, Briley Whittison, is also heading back to YWAM. She's already done a DTS and an outreach. She's going to go a little bit deeper into that second level, sort of, if you want to call it that, of YWAM. And just love the Whittison family. They traveled with us to Israel last time, and really got to know them a little bit better. And I just love those guys. I'm super proud of Briley. One of the Vernon girls is getting ready to go to YWAM.
Yep.
I mean, it's cool. I love it.
It's absolutely cool. And, we have school starting up again here at Water Springs, and they're planning their trip back down to Rosarito for serving orphans and widows, SOW Ministries. So, kids are starting to see that there's more going on than just what's going on here.
Yeah, just playing video games or just doing, local events or whatever. Yeah.
Or even just living life. You know me, living life for yourself is not what the gospel teaches.
Right.
And so it's very hard to preach that in America because America's pretty focused on living life for yourself,
Well, we're an individualistic country.
Right.
And we're not collective.
Right.
And, that's from the very beginning, that was sort of the focus. And that kind of came out of the awakening of understanding a personal relationship with Christ.
Right.
And that's absolutely truth. You have to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. The unfortunate byproduct of that, certainly not an intentional byproduct, is an individualistic attitude.
Right.
This is my personal relationship.
Right.
And so even I can remember people in my grandparents' generation saying politics and religion are personal, you don't talk about.
Yeah, it's not table talk, right?
Not table talk. And certainly that had some unforeseen or certainly some unfortunate side effects. Yeah. Consequences. Yeah.
And I'm not sitting here dogging on America, right? I don't want anybody to take that. It just is what it is, right?
Yeah, it just is what it is.
Learning how to balance that in our daily lives and yes, live in America and live where we're at and enjoy the freedoms that we do have, but also balance it with the Christian lifestyle of not completely being egocentric and completely indulged in self, right?
Right. Well, so one of the things we talked about last weekend when I taught, not yesterday, but a week ago when I taught about having a balance between liberty and personal responsibility, and you can go back and watch that teaching. Hey, before we sign off today, we had an email from a listener, Jeremy in Caldwell, Idaho.
Hi, Jeremy.
And hi, Jeremy. God bless you, buddy. We appreciate your comments. And he's not a fan, apparently. He says, Pastors Live is the most common and unsubstantiated, quote, Christian, unquote, podcast. Started listening while on the road because it was encouraged by some friends of mine, typical Christians who talk about how important it is to follow Jesus, but never talk about their own struggles. I've heard the guys mention their past and how they were born again, but I've never heard them talk about their own struggles. Typical Christians. Signed, Jeremy in Caldwell, Idaho. Jeremy, thank you, man. That's an honest comment. We appreciate that. And I would say you're right. We don't waste any time on Pastors Live cutting ourselves open and bleeding all over the radio. That's not what this podcast is about. From the very beginning, the Pastors Live podcast was intended for one purpose, to bring joy in a world that was gripped with fear. We had the COVID-19 pandemic that was, there was all the fear and the fear-mongering that was being spread about. And shortly after that began, we as a team, 4 of us, Pastor Ty, myself, Shane, and Gary, we met in pretty much a closet. Gary, is that how you would describe that first studio?
Yeah, at least.
It was like a 6x6.
So small.
Real small. And we met and we literally broke out tape measures to see if there was a way to get 6 feet of space between us so that we weren't, breaking any rules or whatever. And you, Gary, were actually in the hallway.
I was.
I remember you.
Good time.
Standing out in the hallway by the photocopier. Shane was squeezed into a corner. I actually was cramped into a corner, and Ty was at the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But our initial hope for this program was that we could share hope and joy. That 1 Timothy 1:7, that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
Right.
And that laughter doeth good like a medicine.
Right.
And so our heart for the podcast from the very beginning was to be joyful, was hopefully share a few laughs, and of course be, as you mentioned a minute ago, Shane, not egocentric, but Christ-centric, that we are focusing on Christ. And if we're talking about suffering on this program, we want to talk about the sufferings of Christ, because the Bible says that God became a man in the person of Jesus Christ, and that he lived the life that we were meant to live, a sinless life in the presence of the Father. And that he, Jesus, who knew no sin, became our sin. And he nailed our sin to the cross of Calvary. He wiped out our sin debt with his own blood. He was dead according to the Scriptures. He was buried. He rose again after 3 days according to the Scriptures. And the Bible says, as many as receive him, to them he gives the right, the authority, the power to be called the sons of God. And that just doesn't jive well with a 20-minute program talking about our own struggles. Right. Do we struggle? Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
And the reason we do, Romans 6, Paul says that our sin nature has been destroyed. That is, it's been paralyzed, but man, he's got a big mouth. And of course we struggle, but here's the thing. I share my struggles with a very small circle of guys that I trust, who pray for me, who will call me out, who will say, dude, Dave, you need to get your act together. Or, hey, dude, Dave, we're suffering with you, which is what the word compassion means. It means to suffer together. But they're always pointing me back to Jesus. It's always about Jesus. It's never not about Jesus. And that's what this program's about. Not about our struggles, but about Jesus. Do we struggle? Shane, do you ever struggle?
Yeah, and just for whatever it's worth, I've talked about my struggles on other podcasts.
Yeah.
I've been invited to the Whosoevers. I've been James' old podcasts and stuff like that, because that's what that platform was for.
That's right.
Right? And so this platform isn't for that.
That's for joy.
Yeah.
So, however, we always appreciate listener comments, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Keep listening, and we hope that we'll be pointing you always to the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Hey, gang, we have got to go for now, but we will be back tomorrow. We hope to be talking to you then. God bless.
You've reached the end of another episode of Pastors Live, a Rev FM production podcast. Thank you for listening. Submit your questions and comments by email to pastorslive@therev.fm. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review from your favorite podcast listening platform. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon so you don't miss the next episode drop.